Surprise!
Surprise! Master the Game is back. I am Juce. This is Paula. This is RPG a Day, and if you haven't figured it out, we are going to surprise you with some awesome content today. So let's get started.
That was really good. You were like super thrilled about that one.
Alright, so today the topic is surprise. Now, a lot of people get this wrong, but 5th edition does not have surprise rounds. It has surprise conditions,
Yes.
which is different than how they've done it in the past, from my understanding. As someone who didn't play previous editions, and so this allows for different things. Now, I still will say, hey, this is a surprise round. I'm notorious for saying it. And this affects the way that certain abilities work. Under the surprise condition, the idea is you still have your turn. It's just you're surprised, so you have to, abide by the condition.
Do you want me to read it?
Please do.
Okay. A band of adventurers sneaks up on a bandit camp, springing from the trees to attack them. A gelatinous cube slides down a dungeon passage, unnoticed by the adventurers, until the cube engulfs one of them. In these situations, one side of the battle gains surprise over the other. The DM determines who might be surprised. If neither side tries to be stealthy, they automatically notice each other. Otherwise, the DM compares the dexterity, stealth checks of anyone hiding with the passive wisdom perception score of each of the creatures on the opposing side. Any character or monster that doesn't notice a threat is surprised at the start of the encounter. If you're surprised, you can't move or take an action on your first turn of the combat, and you can't take a reaction until the turn ends. A member of a group can be surprised even if the other members are not.
So that was key. It says you can't do a reaction until your turn ends, correct?
Yes.
So that would mean if you are first in initiative order...
Until that turn ends.
Oh, so then it still is a full surprise round.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not any different. I mean, maybe there's spells or something.
You're just running any sort of stealth checks against your perception score or the wisdom.
Right.
Perception.
Sure, but there's no difference in what you can or can't do other than based on that you can't do anything. You get no action. You get no bonus action.
Yeah.
You get no reaction.
Yeah.
I love to surprise my players. They know this. Whether it's rogues, and the way I do it is I always play off your passive perception. Always. And so I on my DM screen, I have these tents that I put over the top, and that's how I keep track of initiative order. But on it, I put 2 things on it. I put an armor class, and I put a passive perception. And so then I know, and sometimes I'll roll, but usually I do pre-rolls before a session. So I might have like 5 or 10 pre-rolls. And so then I'm like, next one, and I cross it off. So that way they don't know if they missed something or didn't sometimes.
Oh, that's a good idea. I usually just roll dice a lot, even though I might not need to roll dice for something.
I do that
just
too
so
sometimes.
that I am rolling dice so nobody knows whether, what's happening. Or I'll ask a player to roll dice for something that they don't need to roll dice for, just so that they're like, oh, well,
what happens if they roll a 20?
Okay. Nothing. It's just the same thing it was always going to be.
Okay.
You still just
So, I'm somebody who nat 20s and crit fails. Again, this isn't how 5th edition is written, but even on skills and things like that, I do something for it. If it's a crit fail or a natural 20, something good or really bad happens, no matter what it is. That's typically what I do. So that's why I don't say random rolls for no reason. But I'll roll stuff. I'll roll my yes or no dice sometimes behind the screen. And then, I'll ask myself a quick question in my head, and I'm like, phew. But surprise rounds are freaking awesome. Or surprises. So I like to attack out of the blue. If not, then I will say, hey, the player with the high passive perception, you hear this noise that sounds like some leaves being ruffled, or like a tree branch is swaying a little bit louder than normal. Or something. I'll play into that. And then that's usually what I'll give them. And then depending on what they say right away, they still might get a surprise. because I just think that's fun. Like, because if you're in the dark in the woods and you hear something, I mean, you still can be surprised even though you've heard it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
especially if it's dark, like, you don't have a great light source or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Like, you can't see 50 feet away.
Yeah, like, I can hear this stupid motherfucking cricket, but, like, if a cricket
I can't find it. I've been looking every night.
If a cricket man, like, comes through the door, I'm still going to be surprised. Like, I heard the cricket, but, like,
if he jumped on your foot, you would freak out.
If he was jumping at all in my line of sight, I wouldn't be here, probably. Although I did kill a bug over there.
Yeah, I saw the beetle. I need to
Yeah, I just kind of left it on the
ground. I
saw it tonight.
Like when we came in here. Yeah. It's all right. I'll take care of it.
It was like crawling towards me so fast, and I was on a conference call, and I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Oh, you did it that long ago? Gee, that thing's been in here for like 6 hours. Jeez, I didn't know I was in here that long. I was in here like for a while trying to set up the internet. Fine. So anyway, I like to do surprises, whether it's a secret attack with an arrow to the chest of the barbarian, or even sometimes just being robbed without the players knowing. I think I've done that once. To someone in their bag while they were sleeping. And I think that was because the person you guys had on a fire watch or awake, had like a passive perception of like an 11 or a 10. And like you guys had just like pissed a bunch of people off anyway. So it was like super easy.
Yeah.
It was like Hunter Dark or something like that. My drow elf that stole something back, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, which he's like super rogue with like really high dex and, specialty and stealth basically and sleight of hand. But yeah, that was fun. And he's not even a bad guy. He was a good guy.
I know. I was going to say, he was like...
I used him in a couple games.
Wasn't he more like kind of like a Robin Hood type of character?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. And the thing is he's smuggling... So he's in a town called Sandstrom. And he's smuggling out, like, monster races that are good people, but they're, like, stereotyped as evil because of their races. And so he would smuggle them out, whether they were, like, just randomly locked up or sometimes they were slaves. And so he was, like, helping them get out.
Yeah. To
an establishment I have around the bend of mountains that is an establishment of just outcasts. It's like a really small village of just orcs and goblins and drow and cool stuff.
So, since you're bringing up monster races,
yep,
that kind of segues into what I was going to talk about for surprise, which is surprising character combinations.
Oh, okay.
So, like we had our half-orc bard, right? Who didn't even have any sort of level of charisma.
Who had like 18 strength, low, like 9 charisma.
Yeah. So have you ever played a character that was really surprising like that? Or like earlier we were talking about like the tiefling who was going to be like a soul-searching...
sorcerer.
Yes.
It's from Xanathar's Guide.
Yes, and for like, some sort of... Because I said, so are you going to pick a, like an evil god? And he was like, no, I think we're going to do like the exact opposite. Or this player that's playing in one of his games
because it's a tiefling.
Exact opposite because it's tiefling. So it's supposed to be sort of ironic, which is kind of cool. But... like, have you ever played a character that you would sort of define as, like, surprising or unusual,
Some of my favorites.
Your Goliath that had, like, some sort of, like,
the dwarf warlock I played. Yeah, the dwarf warlock I played, I had a high strength score. Mm-hmm. I was not optimized whatsoever. I was excited to play him. Too bad he died. I love to play halfling barbarians where strength is like their 3rd or 4th best stat.
Oh.
I love it. More of a dex and con based small guy. So their armor class is really good. They're hard to hit, right? But they're not the heaviest hitters. And their rage, because they're still probably going to use a dex weapon, it's still probably more beneficial. Rage is really just for some of the other abilities rather than damage. So I like doing that. I love going AC-based small barbarians.
Yeah.
And there's I don't remember which background it is, but there's a thing that says like raised by wolves. So I played in a friend online. His name was Robert Ogre. He's got a YouTube channel. And he ran a game for us where I played a feral barbarian halfling who was raised by wolves. So he acted like a wolf. Like he ran with putting his hands down and everything. And like I ran up and I said, hey, is it okay if I roll my weapon stats? But rather than using my weapon, I want to bite the jugular off of this creature. And so he said, yeah. Oh, of course. Because we're like the go with the flow DMs and players. Yes. So I ran up and because I'm short, I jumped off of the guy's own knee. So he stepped up off their knee, jumped at their jugular and ripped it off. Now I had to make an athletics check for the jump. I made it. It was awesome. And then I was like, and I just stand there gritting my teeth with blood dripping out of my mouth. And it was cool. And I played that character again in another game, but that was a one shot and it was a blast. He died in my next game.
That's so cool. Yeah. I like those like sort of like ironic and interesting characters. Like I think I've said before that I am not big on like I don't hardly ever play a human. Like I don't want to play a human. I don't want to play just a fighter. Like I want something that's interesting, something that has a lot of depth to it.
Yes.
And a lot of flavor. And I feel like characters like that have that sort of flavor. Like I'm almost kind of inspired right now to play a character. There's a character that I have like going in my mind right now. So we're maybe trying to get together a new group.
Yes.
To play together, and so I will be a player and then DM. Yep. And I'm really excited about that because maybe I could use this character.
What is it? That you're thinking?
I'm gonna let's hold off. Let me finish forming all of my thoughts around it and making some very important decisions. So when you started talking about surprise rounds, I was kind of like, oh shit, I think I'm doing this wrong because this doesn't sound correct. I was.
But like, I've been doing it right.
This is what I've been doing. So like... Right. Okay, you really had me nervous
there.
Hey,
I had myself worried.
I don't think I do all that stuff
Think about it. I haven't run a game. I haven't run a game in a year now, almost.
You need to get your shit together, man.
I have 3 games coming up the next month.
Get it together.
I'm going to be running 2 weekly games, and then 1 at least monthly. Although we'll table that and talk about it. The in-person one. There's a chance we might do a bunch close together, and then take like a month and a half off, and then do. You know what I mean?
That would work too.
So it still averages out.
Yeah.
It just depends on if we can get everyone to work with that. So anyways, this was surprise. I hope you were surprised. I was surprised to find out I was doing the rule correctly, so that's good. And so were you. And so this was Master of the Game. I'm Juce. This is Paula. This is RPG A Day. Game on.